remember when you were struggling back in the day. And what were some of the, hacks that you would use when you were bootstrapping your companies? And perhaps you still use them today, because I always think that startup hacks are really just about being economical and being smart and using your resources intelligently.
Right.
But if you could share, some of, whether it would be software or services, or if it was time management, or if it was like self-care, what would you do to kind of save time and money and still yet maintain a competitive edge while you were launching your businesses, or maybe even scaling them?
Right, right. So one thing that I think is so important is really taking a look at your competition and the people that are reaching the same demographic you are trying to, and having great results at that with those, with that demographic. So I think that is as crazy as it sounds, like taking a beat to just really do some research and thinking, and I don't mean research for a long time because I move very quick at everything that I do, but just taking a beat and like looking like, okay, I'm launching this new water company. I only have $10,000, and how am I going to compete against Coca-Cola, who has, $1 billion? But the tactics themselves, look at what they're doing. Okay, maybe they hired, an influencer with 50 million followers, but you could hire an influencer with, 2,000 active followers and begin the growth, right? So mirror the tactics of people that are successful around you and that you like. So that's number one, really super important.
Yeah.
I also, I just think that's, and then as far as like, software or strategy, just make sure that you are in the know of the latest and greatest of what is available, right? So there's so many great, virtual streaming platforms. There's so many great, content marketing platforms for, doing blogs and sending out email blasts that are efficient. And I think looking again, like, if you look at some of your competition and then say, what are they using for their email blast? What are they using? And maybe get some tips that way that save time. And if they're at the same price as you, if or the same level as you, if you will, then you might get some ideas. So I would just research around and look at what other people are doing, and then obviously take what works for you and leave what doesn't.
Right, right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I actually have a very close friend who does a lot of videos on YouTube, and she did exactly that a few months ago. And I thought it was really smart. There was a woman on YouTube who was her direct competition, and she really started to study the content and the style of her videos, when she would post, how long they were, and she started to mirror her. And within a matter of weeks, her engagement went way up. So
Yeah,
I think it makes a lot of sense.
you're using someone else's research, of what's working, and it saves you time. And then, the other thing that I always, the entrepreneurs that I work with or meet or see, I feel like a lot of times there's always this, fear. A lot of times they're fearful of like really just jumping in and making it happen. And I always say, just push yourself, like from a strategy point, it's like, don't be fearful, think big, like embrace your side hustle, right? If this is like if you're starting in an entrepreneur gig and you still work at a corporate job, which there's plenty of those amazing entrepreneurs, but embrace that side hustle. And there's like no time but now.
Right.
Don't wait. Like I'm so bummed when I, meet people and they're like, oh, I really wanted to start this. It's like, why didn't you? That was genius. Start it. So I'm a huge advocate of, people just really just making it happen. And I know sometimes it's hard, or you're burnout, or you're feeling like you've been, hit, or you can't catch a break. But listen, you can catch a break. Going back to like when I first moved here, I didn't know one soul. And then I found out like my mother's high school sweetheart happened to know a celebrity. I'm like, oh
Right.
my gosh, who would have thought, you know? So I think you just have to, unturn every rock and keep going. You know,
Yeah.
don't give up, because you can be as big as anybody else. And I've seen so many entrepreneurs just, you know, skyrocket their business, you know, and I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also helps when you have a great group of people around you supporting you and encouraging you. That's very important, for
Yeah, and
sure.
that's what's so great about your organization, you know, in the sense of like, it's just so fabulous because it's so many great resources for young entrepreneurs or any entrepreneurs.
Yeah, yeah. Especially since when you're an entrepreneur, oftentimes your social group, they're not all entrepreneurs, so they really don't understand the struggle and the work and the lifestyle. So it is great to be with your
Yeah,
tribe. So
yeah,
I want
yeah.
to I want to make sure before we run out of time that I sneak in another question, which is a little
Sure.
off base, but is so
Okay.
I really want to hear what you have to say. So if you could wave a magic wand, what one thing that drives you crazy do you wish someone would find a solution for that would help your productivity and your sanity? Can be anything.
Ooh, okay. Oh, this is okay. So one thing. Well, okay. I mean, for me, I would love a technology that I can log on to like an IMDb, like a database where I can put in a list of like influencers or celebrities and it automatically updates all of their social numbers at all times.
Mm,
So like that would be because it's so time consuming when you're putting like lists together, ideas together, right? Or like looking at, you know, different, and you're basically looking at all the different celebrities and you have to keep like an influencers, and there's so many influencers. I mean, there's so many influencers. So you have to constantly look at like what they're doing, what their latest, you know, content is about and what their, you know, social media numbers are. And so if it was something like automatically updated, that would be insane. That is my magic wand.
that's awesome. So kind of like a Nielsen ratings, like at your fingertips 24/7,
Right.
right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. With all their latest information, you know?
Well, we're
Because
going
think
to have
about
to
it, when
get
you look up a celebrity or an influencer, you have to go, you know, like you have to go to their YouTube, you have to go to their TikTok, you have to go to their Instagram, you have to go to their Facebook, there's so many places to go to find out if that influencer is great for that brand.
right, right, 100% to be able to aggregate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well, we're
That would be
almost
whoever does it. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt you. We're almost out
No.
of time, but I wanted to give you just a few seconds to just for entrepreneurs that are out there and listening, if there's anything that you would like to share with them, any small piece of advice that perhaps you haven't touched upon yet that you want to share, that you wish someone had told you when you were starting out in your business.
So don't leave marketing as the last thought.
Got it.
Don't, you know, don't like a lot of people spend time coming up with the product and the distribution strategy or the idea or whatever it is. And then they're like, oh, how are we going to market it? Their
Yep.
marketing job is never done. It's about, you know, constant motion. It has to be innovative every single day, and it's something that needs to be done every single day for your business.
Yeah.
It's telling the world that you and your brand is are a rock star, right? That's what it is. So marketing is number one. You could build something great, but if no one knows about it, what are you going to do?
Right.
Right?
It's a hobby.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly.
Well,
Don't put that at the forefront, right? Put that at the
that's
forefront.
That's very good advice. I could use that advice myself. I'm learning my third time around. So thank you. Well, Kristi, thank you so much for being on Startup Hacks. I really appreciate it. I know how busy you are. Your insights were so helpful. And I'd like to just close by asking you to share with our listeners, if you would like to share an email or a website, if people wanted to reach out to you, how would they do so?
Oh, sure.
Or if they want to learn about your company.
Oh, sure. Sure. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. So it's www.theloft, LOFTENT, like entertainment.com. And then my email is Kristi at theloft, LOFTENT.com.
That's perfect. And it's Kristi with a K.
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
Kristi. Yep.
Perfect. Well, thank you again so much. And for our
Thank
listeners,
you.
tune in. You're welcome. Tune in next week for more startup hacks. We have another great show that you won't want to miss on the secret female founder strategies that can save you time and money when you're building your business. This podcast is brought to you by Women Entrepreneurs Global, the first startup studio and digital do-it-yourself startup platform for women. For more information on our guests, this podcast, and many other female founder programs, please visit womenentrepreneurs.global. I'm your host, Fernanda Carapina, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining Startup Hack. Tune in next week for more interviews. We have another great show you won't want to miss on the secret female founder strategies that can save you time and money when building your business. This podcast is brought to you by Women Entrepreneurs Global, the first startup studio and digital do-it-yourself startup platform for women. For more information on our guests, this podcast, and many other female founder programs, please visit womenentrepreneurs.global. I'm your host, Fernanda Carapina. See you next week.